Okay, so I want to do a video about the market and how to draw trend lines, momentum lines, what have you, consolidation points, inflection points, and just to take a look at the closing prices only, just the pure dynamics without regard to the wicks. Of course, the wicks are on here. I can't turn them off on this one thing, but we'll just ignore the wicks if that's at all possible. And I'm just looking for places to make, on the 4-hour chart, I just want to make money within 2 hours to, say, 8 hours. Maybe it's going to be 20 seconds, the trades. But let's just look for the trades we missed. Now, this is like back testing, sort of. And a lot of this stuff isn't going to make sense as far as trend trading, because a lot of the stuff's just not trending. Like, I cannot say that for the last week on the British pound, dollar pound here in the 4-hour, that this isn't some kind of trend. I guess it's in an uptrend, but it's very drifty. So, depending on who you're getting your data from, this is the 4-hour chart looks like here. We have triple bottom, caught in a drifting up box. So I guess a little bit of geometry skills come in handy here. So these kind of inflection points aren't unusual. If you pick the highest, if you just pick these two price policies, you have the first time you've pulled back, you get the perfect setup where you have a bottom, becomes a top, fails, it becomes the next inflection point. Plus, if you did look at the wicks here for your trades, you can see that all your buys, limit pendings here were filled. You're going to buy from here to here, so you have to buy a pocket of, say, this is a 20 pip grid on top of 100, so you'd have to buy 20 pips. Now, I put these orders up here. Now, all these are a 20 pip stop to make 40. This is a 15 pip stop to make. These are double your money orders, but where do you put them on the chart? You can drop them right on the doji. Okay, it's going to line up right there. Now, that's going to last for 3 hours. I don't think it's going up there in 3 hours and coming back. This is where you have to have a little bit of, I guess they call it due diligence. That's for the people that open bank accounts, right? People that open bank accounts for people, make sure they're not laundering money, right? Due diligence is crack me up. Like, you can actually place this on here, right? Put it right on the damn doji. Like, come back here in time and place your orders here. So if you're going to buy this, with a 20 pip stop to make 35 pips, you can see right here is where you put your order. You know this coming in to this session. As this thing walks down this channel now, if you're a momentum trader, you might be trading this whole walk down. This is the first, this channel is so steep that you can't even draw your first line until you're here, really. I mean, so this is the scalpers entry. They've got a channel that looks like this. The market comes up into this inflection point. This is the only time you can draw your first trend line was the first turn down there. So that's the rule. Okay, this is like chess, I suppose. But this is blow by blow. This isn't anything where you're going to, like, okay, maybe this is the apex of some cipher up here, but isn't it really about, okay, can I put a order here to scalp off of that? Yeah, because they're probably going to clip that, just like they clip, if they clip this thing today, so say you have an order here, right? I will sell when they clip up into this, and I get out at the pullback. These are not big orders, but there's plenty of time to put in the big order, the big swing trade. Like, you could have scalped this whole drama down here, this over and over again, up and down game. If you have buy limits down here, so you just keep on getting in here and getting out, getting in, getting out, getting in again. I don't think people realize that it's not whether you know where the market's going, it's how do you get in. Because if you get in down here at this inflection point, you just made 45 pips out of the gate with a 20 stop. And you could have let the rest go too, or you could have had buy stops here on top of these small on this wedging formation. Now, this is a little higher risk, but Some people like that. Now, the problem with this entry is if you do put a buy stop here and you just mechanically clunky trade it, when they fill you here, if your protection's here, they crushed you. If your protection's here, you're good, but you're risking 40 pips now. Out of the gate, you're looking to make at least 40 or more. You never really, I mean, gosh, it takes a long time to get there. Better to get in at the very tippy top or the bottomy bottom and go the other way. And just be contrarian on the entry, because it's just the ratios are just staggering. Talking 20 times, 10 to 20 times your money on one trade. Now, people don't think it's possible, but all you have to do is look back on the chart. You can see the entries you missed. You can see the bet. You can see the trades you screwed. Now here, this thing's about ready to pop above this threshold. Most likely this is the classic. Now look how this is the most important price on this thing. Could fix scale here, but look at this constant banging off of this one price here. So that's 60 pips below this round number. But could this thing come flying back? Oh yeah. So where do you get in? Just find a top. Find a top. If tops become bottoms, you put your order here. You could just put it right there. Like literally, here's another bottom. Could it retest? Oh yeah. Anything could happen. Could, and then if you're gonna go one step further, this is just all these tops become bottoms is a horizontal game, right? This is the linear bottom becomes a top game, but the angular game is the momentum one. So if you're going to go the extra mile and put on rate of change on here or rate on return for who's ever riding this thing, see, because this top up here has nothing to do with momentum. It's just a price that, gosh, it looks like resistance up there. It's a 20 pip window above the close of resistance. The idea that you're going to sell a book telling me all the patterns in the world, my God, can you draw a trend line? Well, I think so. So there's the top become a bottom, but see, the market goes from subtle to insane. So sure, there's a double bottom here, but this is and this look at how they just took this 20 pips lower than here. So the guy that bought that window, and why would you buy that window down there? Because you got how many reasons to place orders? You got a reason to put in 2 orders here because you got a double top, so you got filled on that. You've got a reason to put an order on this top, so you need a reason for the order. You got filled on that one. So it's a trap, and this one you did not get filled on, so and that was right at the round. You did not get filled, but look how this becomes the bounce. A big battle here for the support and resistance zones, because everybody knows this is supposed to be the floor. Now we're supposed to reject that and go down. I don't think that's going to happen. I think we could come all the way up to here by, so you only got to go up 30 more pips. Cut through that. And if you look at the daily of this, you can see that, wow, you know what? This thing's really captured a lot of people. And I can only imagine what they were saying when the market was down here. Of course, the news came out and blah, blah, blah. And don't forget, they've lowered their, so fundamentally what's going on there. So there's the daily. Here's the big drama here. But I'm only living inside of this world. Like, putting an order down here to me would be just complete nonsense, you know. I'm going to buy here. And I'm like, oh, my God, man. You know, I'll be probably drunk by the time that, I mean, I'll probably be in rehab 3 times by the time that gets filled. I'm going to buy down here. I'm thinking about buying here. This is support. I'm like, yeah, we're up here. We're up here. Maybe you should think about selling, like, draw a trend line here, pick a spot here, bounce off of that. Or you just buy, like, I'm just going to buy when it comes back to fair value, which fair value of the top of this range, certainly fair value is dead center right here. You can see the pivot going on here. We have this bottom, comes back, retest. This is the top that becomes the bottom over and over. Here's the head and shoulders double bottom. And here we start going up kind of a clunky trend, and we reach a triangle, smash through. If your buy orders are sitting at this critical top, your buy limits, that's a fantastic trade. That's a daily chart. Buy limits on these triples, you just about got filled on that. So this stuff's hard to see if you don't have the line chart on. You cannot see these trades. These are the most amazing trades ever. You have a reason to put an order here because of that top, that top, that top. You only got filled on this one here, but you have a reason to put an order here. So you got filled on all those in a 20 pip window to make how many pips? You're here now. This is your exit, the floor, the last known floor. You scalp to here because this is the last known floor. But if you had a bank of orders in there all the way to here, and maybe you had orders that actually were like, oh, I'll grab this guy's, some retail guy, some textbook guy put a stop there. Oh yeah, I put my stop right back at the, where'd you put your stop? Oh, I put it right here. Oh, you did? Like, think about this trade here. I don't know if anybody's done this one. So you're like, well, this is the daily chart, man. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a stop right here. I'm going to buy here. I put a stop here. They come back, they stop you out, and it makes more pips than you even ever had here that you didn't take off the table. And if you look right here, there's a doji. Besides, it's 100. Besides, you just made 60 pips, right? How greedy can you possibly be? And a lot of greed in these markets. Here's the trend line break, becomes support there. But here's the volatility breakout. This is a day that, I don't know if that's a Sunday, but this is a day that lasts just a little bit of time. So, and here's the classic doji. So everybody's going to bail here. Anybody that's long that thing, they're like, oh yeah, take some off the table. And it's just going to go on and on and on. This stuff goes on and on and on. There's no let up. There's no rhyme, no reason. Here, we're buying if this plunges some more. So you could just put hand-placed orders at this double top, 50 pip stop to make 100 pips, walk away. Put some scalps in here like this. Here's a top. Put a buy limit there, and put a buy limit right here because there's right where the edge of that wick is. Comes back to this cluster. Anytime you get clusters, that means you got to put more orders in. So there's a whole thing going on down here, and so like this, right? Probably won't get filled today on that. Of course, that's if you set the times on these. Now this is only 2 hours here, so this is kind of a scalp. If you start laying these in right at these pivots, there's a double top. You can see it. You just lay it right on the damn thing. Here's a double top. So you just place all those on there, walk away. Nothing you do is going to change that reality here. Top here to place an order. If you can see this top. There's a every time you see a baby top, baby bottom, it's very important. Look at this, how we smashed into this today earlier. You know, look at this stupid trade. Come on. This is really kid stuff. Show a kid how to do this crap. Son, put your order down here. Look at this top. Here's the doji. We ricocheted off that. Clean 20 pip winner for the scalp. And maybe you're going to get long again if it comes back. So you leave those there. All right. You want to draw trend lines. It's easy to do on this stuff. These line charts. Is this a trend line? I think so. Is there a top become a bottom in here? Not exactly. Kind of actually overshoots bullish. Here's a breakdown. But let's buy everything to this for the bounce to here and just call it a day. Make our 60 pips. Buy right now. It's getting close. So if it doesn't come near your buy limits, you got to start tightening up your entry time-wise. So this is a 4 hour. I would put in, say, half-hour orders here and 1 hour orders here, really close. It's getting very close to the entry. Close to that inflection point. If you stretch this out, you can see if your orders make sense as far as if you put them in too dense, you're just going to blow the account up. So say I'm going to put a really aggressive. This is almost at the market. That is about 5 pips deep. This is like 10, and this is 1 hour orders. So let's see what happens here. Same thing here. The dollar's kind of lost its, and of course everybody had buy limits here at this doji. Not everybody, I guess, but the people that made money. So they look like this, right? They were getting in on that, just that little chatter there. This is without any bias other than the shape created by the closing price. I have no bullish and bearish candles there, just range. And so if you wanted to buy this, say, for just a scalp. Now these would all be scalp trades because it could just keep going down, right? And it's not like that hasn't happened before. So these markets are capable of just going on a run, never looking back. And how do you determine, like, so if you're a seller here, maybe you're a long-term trader, you have a trend line here, you broke, now you're looking to sell, but you don't need Fibonacci for this stuff. It's better you don't. See this doji, so you put a sell limit here for the scalp, and maybe this is the swing trade, and this is another order, but you know, you got to figure, oh, I'm going to sell up here. You can't overthink it. Here, I'm selling at that doji hard for the scalp, maybe a sell here. Let it stop you out. Let it go wrong. Be wrong. And you've got this right now forming. So you got this right here where you're selling off that's right there, right? You already sold off that. You scalped up, but maybe you scalp off this. And so you have two reasons here to put in orders. Is you have this flat spot, monster doji, and here's another inverted hammer flat spot. So you have all your sells in here for the scalp. Sure, it might come all the way to here, so maybe you have some that are designed with a broader target. But I think it's better to take the time and place all the orders at the double bottoms, double tops. Top become bottoms, bottoms become tops. Like, look at this one here. Here is a top, becomes a bottom. There's a retest of this bottom. Plenty of reasons to place orders right here, especially if you've got this accumulation cluster, possibly revisited. And then look what that thing's paying. And then you trade it the other direction. So you trade it bi-directional. Buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell. It's just the effort of placing the orders. That's all there is to it. But hard to get a robot to be too precise. I mean, like, you can have blanket orders you throw in here, but the problem is it's better to have precision and actually place every order right on the pivot. So if this is the low, you can see that if you placed your order here, you would have got filled for the ride up. And you could place your order at the wick tip too, because there's a high probability they're going to go a few pips below that wick too. So there's a window right here at the edge of the market, and you put a 50 pip stop on here to make 100 pips. You make 200 pips on these actually. So the question is do you put a 100 pip stop to make 200? Yeah, if you want. I mean, it's really going to be personal taste. There's nobody's going to be able to tell you. If you really want to do the extra work and put in all these scalps, say you got 2 hour scalp down here off of this, this is a high probability inflection point. Any turn in the market, any pivot, these are all pivots every time it makes a peak and a valley, you just place the orders, walk away. And that doesn't mean that, well, you have to replace them here. See this top that became this bottom here? This is where you're placing your order. That's it. There's no Fibonacci or, oh, well, you know, there's a, how do you explain this on a bat wing? I mean, are you kidding me? Like, this is 4 hours of obliteration of a currency. Either you started buying here on limits because you had all the balls of a dinosaur, and you bought everything to here and beyond, like just like a complete pigosaurus, right? Now, the ones that you got in here, you cashed and scalped that puppy. Then if you had more giant cojones, you bought again on a plunge. And this is what it's about. Now, the ones that you bought here, you're like, I'm up on that. Okay, this is how you make tons of money. You're scalping, you're swinging. You're doing it all. You're a swinger, which I guess is kind of like a little taboo. And this top becomes a bottom. There's nothing wrong with scalping it here and calling it a day. You're going to look at this move and say, God, I should have stayed in. Well, you could have re-entered. Okay? You could have put a buy limit here and got picked back up for that last price pulse. You can just, and then some girl once, cute thing, I guess. She says, well, you can't trade every zig and zag. Well, you can and you can't. You can and you can't, and you don't have to. But I like to. Look at this doji. These are no-brainers. This is 4-hour chart. Okay, less trading on the daily this style. But who isn't buying this if it comes back to this double top for a scalp to here? What are you, nuts? That's like when you break the balls in pool and there's balls just sitting right near the pockets. You're like, oh my God, this is going to be the greatest game I ever played. Right? I mean, isn't that really what's going on there? Anyway, so, you know, in some of these trend lines, like, was this a sustainable trend line? The nice thing about trend lines, they're instantaneously adapting to the market by the manual labor of you drawing this off this. Was that a sustainable rate of change? That's a gimme. That when I see that, I go, oh my God, you gotta be kidding me, right? Like, so, and then people would say, here's another fallacy of analysis is, now in this instance here, people would say, well, can't you see what's going on here? That's dead cat bounce. That's right. But is this the dead cat bounce? I guess, but oh my God, like, look at all this money in here. Look at all this. I mean, you know, it's not dead cat bounce no more. Oh yeah, it's gonna go. We have to put our sell limits here, 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 which is going to be here, here, and here. So you place the order there on the actual pivot. This way you can keep track of why you did it. If this is your rule set, presupposing, right? I'm going to sell that resistance. Okay, I don't think it's making up there today. It's probably going to come back here first. So I'm looking for places to buy. It's always going to be where the last party was, at least for the scalp. And the rest of it, I just, you know, at the end of the day, you're going to find out if this order lasts for 3 hours. I don't have to worry about this order so much. Say if I sell right the round handle like a goofball, and look at this round handle. Look at that round number inflection point. Top becomes bottom, wedge, triangle, kick back. Come on, this is over and over again. So it's about the tactics. If you have buy limits there, my God, man, if you got out here, you done real good. Like, that is never looked back for 20 hours. 4 hours straight down. Boom. Sabash. The guy that had the buy limit here, he put this order in 2 weeks ago. Hello. He just made a nice amount of money with a very tight stop. And all these trades are available to completely people that have no time to trade this stuff. You just place these orders and walk away. There's no... Now, you go to the daily chart, you're going to have to zoom in. So the daily view is going to be, you know, if you're looking at the daily chart, you're like, oh, well, I got a buy limit down here, say, right? That's going to have to last a week. You think it's coming down here right now? You think it's going to drop 200 pips right now today? Another thing is, when you're on a daily chart, you look at stuff like this. Could we come back to this bottom? Oh, yeah. See, daily chart, people, a line chart, very simple lifestyle. And the thing is that we actually do break this, and it goes through for real. It is not a fake out breakout like this or a failed attempt to come back to here, to come back to this top bottom. It's literally like, wow, see you, bye. And this is going through the weeklies. You got to imagine on the left here. You don't have to, but was that scalpable on the 1 hour chart? There's probably a couple scalps in there, but you have to somehow, if you're going to wait to get filled on a buy limit at this 100 pivot, you're going to wait 5 days to make that range trade. Here, wait so much. You have a sell limit here that just gets picked up because of the sheer fact that that's previous support. Same thing here, no fill. So then you say, well, what the hell? I'm not making any money. It never came back there. That's a Stapleton entry, by the way. Like, oh, it's going to come back here. Guess what? Sometimes it just doesn't. It just keeps going. Not to mention, there's got to be a cluster of stops here. This is a big deal. Bash through. Maybe the trade's coming back the other way. Don't want to chase this stuff. And maybe your breakout trader, like everything's rolled over. Everything's saying sell. Okay, you made money on that this time. But what's going to burn you on that strategy is here. Everything says sell. Everything says sell. So I sold this breakout. Oh boy. Man. See, just because it's making new lows like that doesn't mean these are for certain trades. And sure, it's in an uptrend. But if you got in here on this pullback thinking it's going to keep going up, you're in trouble. If your backup plan is to buy these 2 peaks in here, that's always the better setup, right? Even here, a pullback into this made you at least that ricochet here. You can see this this internal top, hidden top, I suppose, for people. They don't consider that top, but it's the inflection point here. And this bottom here also, in other words, the whole fact that it congested here is a big deal. So now, say people have buy stops here because they're like, yeah, I'm on confirmation entry. Okay, well, you're going to pay a lot for that trade because maybe your stop has to be down here. But what if you're projecting the channel here so your entry is going to be here? Scalp to here, you're out. Not like you're buying here and it's going to go to the moon. I mean, this just can't be greedy on this stuff. Markets aren't giving you that much money. I mean, that many pips. They will on the news, but most of the stuff. Okay, here. So this is smashing down. See? So we're getting filled on this thing. Cut the these balls off of here. Let me delete that here. So here, like this, you have these orders down here, but you're gonna wait. Well, this is only 2 hours, so it's not gonna make it there in time. But here's a 6-hour order with a 50 pip stop. So yeah, I guess place all this stuff here, walk away. Obviously, if they can take it down to these tops, and you can actually place it right there, so you can be like, okay, reference back here. I wouldn't look back any further than I'm only going back about because what's more important? The last known or this one? Just because these happen to coincidentally queue up, it doesn't mean that all we care about is last known support. So maybe you take this. This is no man's land here, and people are afraid to buy that. To me, that's like gravy. I mean, it doesn't come down here. Yeah, keep coming down. Right now, the dollar's reversed a little bit. Not so much on the Swiss, but dollar CAD came up off the floor there. So yeah, it's really just order placement, and you're really just planting a garden. This is just garden planting, really. There's no magic. Just have to place each incremental order. This is totally an incremental building of your account is going to keep it from blowing up. It'll actually make it super efficient because nothing has been done by accident or by lazy. You're placing all these. If your favorites only consist of these 4 orders, this is all the damage you can do to the account. You already predefine your risk, right? And give yourself a limit. Say once you fill this and you have to scroll down to the next view of that, maybe you should call it quits, right? That's when you give up, or when you say, you know what, I'm just going to step back a little bit, let everything that I laid out happen. So let all these dominoes that you put in here, it's really domino trading, I guess, in essence, and you let that stuff all stack up and you let it go, and that's going to define your trading system. It trades itself. I don't know if that helps. Anyways, that's my 2 cents. Yeah, this looks like everybody's going to want to sell that. They think, oh, let's go over. But it's about time frame, and I do like the 2-minute or 2-hour trades the best, I think. Like if they come down here, whoosh, goes back up, like this whoosh stuff. Wow, gotta love that. Look at that. Look at that thing, just clean house. And here was the wedge entry. Here's the trend line to break. Look how they touched that. Perfect. Like look at the pressure on that trend line. Look how pissed off this market. Look at this, is the only place you can draw a trend line on that. And you could start to Gann fan it out, I suppose. I mean, Gann fans are ridiculous because they're picking the angle. If you're going to Gann fan that thing, you pick the angle, right? Here's the inflection. Here's the setup. Comes back, breakout, keeps coming back to this. That's not all these, these things make sense. Like, well, I got a Gann fan, but market's got its own version of a Gann fan. This is like you ever seen those, I guess they're just avatars. Or they're fake people built like too smooth. They look too smooth. Market's like an organic, spiky mess. So there's no way in hell that it's going to fit. There is no template for a really good looking person. If you over idealize it, it just looks fake. There's nothing hot about it. I know people want their teeth straight and white and all this stuff, but I don't know. I guess I like a girl with a little bit of crooked teeth. I want somebody who looks like they're naturally, organically screwed up. Nature's put a little bit of a dent in them. So, this is like against the perfectionist. I mean, in other words, your car should be washed, cleaned with no dents. If your car has a dent in it, somehow you're less. Okay, well, in trading, you're constantly denting the account with, say, a scalp that they just, oh, you know what, I guess that wasn't a scalp. I mean, but don't let it turn into a position trade if it's a scalp, because better they kick you out and you predefine your risk over here. This is like a secret of Mark Douglas. Predefine your risk, which sounds pretty elementary and sounds really childish to talk in terms of, people don't want to really think about how ridiculously simple this thing is. And they figure, well, if I just have a better mousetrap. No, first you need mice, right? It's not like you're going to build this amazing mousetrap. If you have no mice problem, you're wasting your time. So unless you have a bat problem, don't trade bat wings is what I'm really trying to say. Like, unless you're waking up in the middle of the night looking to suck blood. Okay, if you turn into a vampire, yes, you could trade the bat pattern, okay? That's the exception that proves the rule. Anyways, I hope that helps.